on GoSuffolkRams.com. From Boston, Massachusetts, welcome to Suffolk Sounds, the official show for Suffolk University Athletics.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Suffolk Sounds podcast for our first episode of the 2022-2023 athletic season. All of our fall sports are in full swing right now, and it's great to have the new and returning student athletes back on campus. And speaking of fall sports, today we have a very special guest joining us on the podcast, one of the newest members of the Suffolk Athletic Department, first-year head coach of the men's golf team, Ken DiMaggio. So thank you, Ken, for joining me. You are the first guest of this new school year, so no pressure. But let's start with you giving us a little bit of background information on what brought you to Suffolk.
Okay. Well, it was kind of a surprise, actually. I wasn't looking for anything, and I had retired from a business last year and was playing golf every day, a little bit too much, and needed something else to do, and I wanted to do something involved with golf. So I actually saw something online and took a shot and applied, and here we are. So it was a complete surprise, actually. I wasn't really looking for it, but it worked out good.
Yeah, I feel like most people when they enter retirement, they're playing golf for fun casually, and you kind of took a different route and decided to coach it while also playing it in retirement. And so I'm gonna guess you started playing golf at a really early age because I saw that you have a 1 handicap, which is pretty crazy. But how did you get so good at golf?
Well, I started early, like you said. Like a lot of kids, I caddied at a local golf course. I grew up in Waltham and caddied at Pine Brook Country Club in Weston, which is where all the Waltham guys would go to caddy. So I followed them. And I really didn't know golf that well. Back then, I was probably, I'm going to say 12 years old or so, something like that. And no one in my family really played golf. We did other things. We played other sports. We played everything, but golf was not one. But I took to it right away. I liked it. And I began mimicking people that I would caddy for. And I also got to see what, a country club was like and so on. And I just liked it right away. So obviously I played on my own. I played at actually a par 3 course in Lexington, which doesn't exist anymore. It's condominiums now, unfortunately, but it was a very, very good par 3 course. And myself and my brother would play literally all day. We would just keep going. And my dad would drop us off in the morning and pick us up at night with the headlights on and beeping the horn to get in the car. So, that's how it all started. And it took me a while. I didn't really get good, if you will, for a while. I really didn't make my high school team until my 11th grade.
Wow.
The following year, I became captain of the team the senior year. And the following year after that, I played in the Massachusetts State Open. I qualified and played in it all 3 days. So it came on kind of quick at the end. And I did that as a professional, actually, at a very young age, 19, I'm going to say. So I turned professional pretty much immediately. I loved it. I wanted to do it, and that was it. So
Wow.
That's how it got there. So anyway.
Yeah. I feel like I've already kind of missed the boat to become a good golfer because you really do have to start pretty young. And I mean, I'm still pretty young relatively, but I grew up like playing baseball, never played golf. So now when I swing a golf club, it's like swinging a baseball bat. And it's ugly, but maybe I'll have to swing by a practice sometime or something, and you guys can give me some tips.
Happy to do that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But who were some of your role models, either like a family member or a pro that you kind of looked up to in the golf world growing up?
Well, like I said, no one in the family really played, so it wasn't a family thing. But back then, like a lot of people, well, these days, obviously, it's Tiger Woods and maybe Rory McIlroy and players of that ilk. But back then, for me, it was Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer, of course.
Yep.
So those were the role models professionally. And then when I did become a professional myself, I actually worked at a golf club locally, Nishada Country Club in Concord, Mass, where at the time, the golf professional there was probably the best playing golf professional, New England playing professional in the area. So it was a good role model, good learning situation for me. So it was really great. He was
Yeah.
sort of the guy at the time, and it
Hmm.
was a good one to be under.
Yeah, I feel like no matter how good you are at golf and no matter what age you are, you kind of learn something new like as you play. Like you can always learn something new, especially now with the technology. But yeah, it is really good to have a role model, especially in a sport that it's usually so solo basically.
It is. It is. And we would, get up at 6 in the morning and the two of us would play and then go to work in the shop by 8 o'clock or so. So I learned a lot
Wow.
from him, and he was a great guy
Yeah,
and a good person.
that's awesome. So you started as a pro and then eventually moved to being a high school coach for a long time. So how did these experiences kind of prepare you to be a collegiate coach?
It definitely prepared me. We fortunately had a good situation where, again, the same golf club, Nishada Country Club in Concord, was the home course for Lincoln Sudbury Golf. And I was fortunate to have a lot of very, very good players on those teams. And we actually would win the league title pretty much every year, and won the state title, I think, 3 or 4 times. So it was a good experience. They were really good kids, good players, and wanted to win, and it was fun. So it certainly carries over, to this. Um, um, they're new to it. I'm new to it.
Mhm.
And we're just taking it one step at a time. But a lot to learn from the college to the high school.
Yeah.
Much more administrative things to do.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I had nothing to do administratively for high school. It's just
Yeah.
coach. It's just pure golf. This is a little
Hmm.
more involved.
Yeah.
But so far it's been fun.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you what like the biggest differences between the two are, but yeah, it seems like you pretty much answered that question.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
lot to do, planning and
Yeah.
scheduling and
Yeah.
a lot of collegiate type things that I've
Mm.
got to do. So anyway,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah. 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 So speaking of your first collegiate coaching experience, how has the start of the season been so far for you and the team?
Well, it's been good. We had our first event last week, which was we came on really early from the beginning of school it was the first
Hmm.
week. So
Yeah.
we had very little time to prepare, but they did well. Apparently last year they came in dead last in that event.
Yes,
It was
I
up at
did.
Middlebury College, and
Yeah.
so I don't know this, but I think 22 out of 22 last year. This year was
Hmm.
14 out of 24, so a little
Yeah.
improvement.
Yeah. Great
And
improvement.
yeah, and the second day scoring was significantly better than day one, so that was
Mm.
good. So, we just want to do better each time out. That's the goal for the season, just to
Hmm.
be one better than the day before. So,
Yeah.
no lofty goals this year, just get our
Yeah.
feet wet, see what it's all
Yeah.
about, and then, I think it's going to be a next year thing as far as really breaking out.
Mm. Yeah, I saw that you guys had that first event and that you had a much better finish than the previous season. So that must be a good confidence boost for you and the team, especially going forward as a new coach. Um,
Yep.
yeah, I'm excited to see where the men end up for the upcoming invites. I'll be keeping up, and I'm excited for the conference championships next month. And I'm hoping to come out and support the team at least once. I was down in Brewster last year for the NEIGA championships, and I remember it was really, really cold. So I'm hoping it's a little bit warmer down there next time, but it's a beautiful course. So I'm excited. Um, and besides your role as head coach of the men's golf team here, you also work as a USA representative of GHW Golf Tours and Discover Your Italy. Can you talk a little bit about that role?
Yeah, those came about kind of unusual as well. Uh, None of this was planned, but
Hmm.
I've traveled to Ireland and Scotland a lot, and I made
Wow.
contact with an individual in Scotland who became a friend, and now he's a business partner. And the same exact thing with Discover Your Italy with a friend in Italy who's now a business partner. So I arranged tours through GHW Golf Tours for Ireland, Scotland, Lynx Golf Tours. In fact, just before
Wow.
we started this podcast, I did one with a group that
Nice.
wants to go to Ireland next year. So it's just a fun thing. Um,
Yeah.
but both people on both ends are really good at what they do,
Hmm.
and we have fun doing it, and I get to travel. which is good.
Yeah, that
So
is
it's
awesome.
all good. And I go to Italy a lot, actually, so it
Wow.
works out good.
Yeah, I could imagine from the DiMaggio last name. Probably strong ties to Italy.
We do.
Yeah. What's the difference between links golf and like standard golf?
Well, there's Lynx Golf and Parkland Golf, if you will. Parkland
Okay.
Golf would be what you would know of here,
Yeah.
tree lined and so on. New
Hmm.
England Golf.
Yeah.
Lynx Golf, there's no trees.
Oh.
It's fescue,
Yeah.
bunkers everywhere,
Oh.
and very difficult conditions,
Oh.
wind and rain and what have you. So it's very different. So people that go to Ireland or Scotland obviously want to play that type of golf.
Yeah.
It's different. Otherwise, they could stay here and play, or
Yeah.
stay in the U.S. and play. So it's fun. It's challenging, and I recommend it to anyone.
Yeah. When you first said no trees, I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. But then when you said the weather and the conditions in the bunkers, I was like, maybe not as easy as it sounds.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah. So I feel like we've talked a lot about golf today. And I can tell that you are the right man for this job here, but do you do anything for fun outside of golf?
Well, I travel a lot. I like to travel and I like to eat. I'm a foodie,
Yeah.
and
Nice.
especially in Italy. So like I said, we travel to Italy at least once a year or so. I'm going at the end of October.
Mhm.
And next year, I've got a big group actually going to Italy for the Ryder Cup. It's
Oh,
going to be in
awesome.
Rome next year, so it's exciting, and it's something we've been planning for 3 or 4 years. So we'll be over there with a big group, and that should be interesting. They're playing the
Yeah.
same course that they just played the Italian Open on this past weekend. So I
Wow.
was watching it on TV, trying to get an idea of
Yeah.
the golf course.
Wow.
So yeah,
Yeah, doing your research early. Smart. Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah.
All right. Well, Coach, thank you for sitting down with me and being the first guest for this fall season and for the Suffolk Sounds podcast this year. It was really awesome learning about your journey, and I'm sure that everyone at Suffolk is excited to see what you and the men's golf team do this year.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure to be with you.
This has been Suffolk Sounds. Don't forget to subscribe, like, rate, and review however you listen to your podcast.